All right, welcome back to the channel. I'm Axel Stein here with MMG Yachts, and today I wanted to do a short video regarding cool tech and innovation. This year, 2024, has seen the launch of two super yachts that are now using hydrogen fuel cells to create electricity for hotel loads. And I'm just gonna get briefly into it so you guys know the differences between one boat and the other and how the technologies were applied in slightly different ways. I tried to make it very simple so it's easy to understand. So the H on the left there is your hydrogen input into the cell. The left side is the anode side, the center is the electrolyte membrane, and the right side is the cathode side. So what happens is hydrogen gets injected into the anode side, it reacts in the anode, it separates electrons and protons. So the electrons cannot go through the electrolyte membrane, so the only other way they have to go is through an external circuit, which takes them over to the cathode side. In this process is where you would harvest the actual electricity that you're producing. On the other hand, the protons do go through the electrolyte membrane into the cathode side, where if you notice all the way on the right, you have oxygen coming in, then it all gets mixed up and the cathode side reacts and creates H2O, which is water. That's how the hydrogen fuel cells, use hydrogen to produce electricity, and the only exhaust they actually produce is H2O, which is great. Okay, now you guys know how it works, more or less, how you harvest electricity from hydrogen. I'll bring up the two boats. The first boat in question is a 50-meter or 164-foot Sanlorenzo steel. Sanlorenzo is an Italian shipyard, if you didn't know. They have, they're actually, I believe they're the second or third largest shipbuilder in the world at this moment. The Sanlorenzo 50 steel was, the exterior was designed by Zucon International Project, and the interior was done with the Sanlorenzo team, the interior team, with the leading designer being Piero Lisioni. There are some pretty unique features on that new Sanlorenzo design-wise. They were able to basically split the engine room or the mechanical areas into a few areas with generators up front. The fuel cell, actually the fuel cell is the one that's up front by the tender garage, and that opened up a lot of space on the lower deck for a beach club area. The aft of the boat opens up, as you can see in these images, and this boat's also going to be offered without the fuel cell technology, so it's basically an option. You get to decide if you want or not when you are commissioning a semi-custom project such as this. The boat was christened ALMAX because it was built for Massimo Perotti, the CEO and chairman of Sanlorenzo. He decided that it was a good idea for him to build himself the first hydrogen fuel cell boat instead of just sending it into a client and gambling with that. So I think they've put about a month of use on it now, and I'm assuming they're going to go through the winter season with it and see how it performs, and most likely it's going to go for sale in the next few months. Okay, so the Sanlorenzo approach was not to store liquid hydrogen on the boat. It was actually to use green methanol as a hydrogen carrier, right? What does this mean? Green methanol. So methanol is composed of, carbon and hydrogen and a little bit of oxygen. So instead of having to carry hydrogen liquid, which is extremely difficult to do, they opted for a more stable solution, which was to carry green methanol. The word green is just there because to create this methanol, the process used renewable energy such as wind, solar, or hydro energy to actually create this. So the way that works inside the boat is right before the fuel cell that you guys just saw. This green methanol enters a reformer, which uses high temperature steam of distilled water to break down into the hydrogen atoms and the carbon. Carbon gets disposed of, which is, yes, you're emitting carbon, but you already captured that carbon to make this green methanol, so essentially it's carbon neutral. And what the hydrogen side of it goes into the fuel cell, which can produce up to 100 kilowatts of power, which with the 4 tons they have on board of green methanol, they say they're able to power the hotel load of the boat for a week. What's a hotel load? Hotel load is basically once you get to your destination and you throw your anchor, you essentially, in a normal boat, what you do, you turn off your engines, but you leave generators, either 1 or 2 or sometimes 3, depending on the size of the boat, running, usually diesel generators. So why do you need that? Because you need electricity for air conditioning, lighting, music, TV, kitchen, laundry, everything that's on this boat, right? So the hotel load, if you're able to run on green methanol for a week of hotel load, you're able to reduce about 85% of the boat's total emissions, because 80 to 85% of the time you spend on a boat is at anchor. You're not constantly just moving, right? That's why it was important to start, flirting with the idea of getting these boats out in the water, because I think the industry as a whole sees it as a viable option to replace diesel generators. All right, so the second boat in question today, which was also launched 2024, maybe I think the technical launch was last year, and we saw the boat roll out of the shed a couple months ago. We're talking about Feadship Project 821. Feadship Project 821 is a 118 meter boat, which is 387 feet, and she's a staggering 7,000, almost 300 gross tons compared to Sanlorenzo's 500 gross tons. So this boat's essentially 14 times larger in volume than the Sanlorenzo. The main differences in the way they approached this, I guess, hydrogen fuel cell was they used the same fuel cell, right? Not the same exact, but the same technology. But instead of carrying green methanol to then reform it and get the hydrogen out of, they actually managed to put a huge cryogenic tank on the lower tank deck to store liquid hydrogen. Liquid hydrogen has a boiling point of negative 253 degrees Celsius, or 252, I think it was, which is extremely cold, right? So the way they managed to keep, liquefied gas at those temperatures on a yacht was to actually make the tank 30% larger than it needed to be in order to manage the pressures. So it's obviously double wall tank, it's insulated and whatnot, but to manage the temperature, you basically have to manage the pressures of it. Ideally, when this is filled, it's because you're going somewhere and you want to use it. You don't want to just have the boat sitting and storing that, because some of it will evaporate, and essentially it's just money evaporating at that point. I guess the positives of this system that Feadship used was that you don't emit any carbon while at anchor, but if the hydrogen was pulled using non-renewables or non-clean energy wherever it came from, then you're emitting some carbon at some point along the line. But it definitely reduces the carbon output of the yacht during the time that it's using the fuel cell. Like Sanlorenzo, Feadship estimates that this system with the projected 63 cubic meters of liquid hydrogen on this boat will be able to power the hotel load of Project 821 for about a week. So both boats can do about a week at anchor using hydrogen. Obviously one uses a lot more because it's 14 times larger, but we have to we have to give it to these shipyards that were the first ones to actually push the boundaries, come up with some innovations, and actually put a boat out there that brings a new technology to the market, right? On Sanlorenzo's side, it was, you know, the CEO. The CEO took it upon himself to do so. On Feadship side, somebody commissioned the boat. I mean, there was a client behind it. Some speculate that it's Bill Gates. Wouldn't be able to tell you. But, you know, on the Feadship side, it's not as easy of an undertaking to build a full custom 360-foot boat than it is to build a 160 on the Sanlorenzo side. Another thing I needed to mention about this Feadship is that it's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's now, I mean, I haven't seen the top of the mast yet. They're working on it still. I'm assuming they're installing and painting. But the profile of the boat, I think it's my favorite boat now. And my last favorite boat was also designed by RWD UK, which is a studio there on the south of England. And I think they make the most proportionate and beautiful silhouettes out of all the designers I've seen. Well, that's about all for today. Just wanted to bring you guys up to speed about the new innovations in the super yacht industry. And I think we're going to see a lot of new changes coming our way, you know, from now to in the next 10 years. We're going to talk about the different hybrid propulsions we currently have and we've had for numerous years already. But I'll get into that in the next Tech and Innovations episode, which will probably be about 2 weeks from now. All right, thank you for watching. Have a good one.